Hello world, this is Draken, and today I'll be making a video kind of just on the basics of what War of the Visions is. So if you're a new player or a player who doesn't know everything, maybe this might help you a bit. I know it took me a long time to get used to this game because there is a lot of stuff that goes on here in War of the Visions. And one of the biggest mistakes I made early on was I spent pretty much all of my Vizuri, which, if you're a new player, you get it thrown at you so much from the story mode. Like, you get tons of it. There's so many chapters, and each chapter, if we actually look at the missions, you'll see that for clearing a story part mission, you get a bunch of awakening materials, and 500 Vizuri for doing basically 10 little battles. But every couple, you get 1,000. So that ends up being probably like 20, 30, maybe even 40,000 Vizuri that you're given just from doing the story mode. Plus, each new mission you do that you've never done before, you get a 50 Vizuri little bonus, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you do, considering there's like 11 chapters right now and each one has 10 times 3 in it, that ends up being a lot. So the story mode will be the main way you get this Vizuri. And what is Vizuri used for? Well, it's used for all of your summonings, which that's how you get your main characters. Now, a lot of people make the mistake, and I might as well just do these free summons, of spending all their Vizuri just on the summon banner of a character they like, even after they've gotten that character. And that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make when you're starting this game. Because what you really want to do, say we went to a banner of a character we really liked. We really like, let's say, Dwayne. So we pulled on him, and say it took 4 pulls to get him. That would pretty much use most of my Vizuri up. And now you have the character, and you think, well, I should keep pulling on his banner and get him, because I get the medals too, right? But that's not the best way to go about it, because you're most likely not going to get him, because the drop rates for the characters in this game are incredibly low. So if you kept using the banner, you could eat through 50 or 60,000 Vizuri, and you wouldn't get enough to limit break your character you want more than once or twice. So the most effective way to do this is through either the shop, which it will most likely have their materials in it. I'll just go in here right now, and it does not have them, but it has all these other units. So when you pull a unit you really like, what you should do is just keep it like that. Stop pulling on the banner. Go to the shop, take a look to see if there's shards, and then you can hit this update button. And I've already used my free one for the day because occasionally they'll have vision cards in here, which are very hard to find the ones you want because they only have like 1 or 2 at a time in the shop, whereas they have like 4 characters in here at all times. They also have a bunch of other little items that you'll learn through the game are useful. I always go to the bottom and check if they have this, which I need like 1600 or something to actually make a +5 weapon I want. So it's always good to check the shop for characters, materials. One thing I wouldn't recommend doing is buying any of these with Vizuri. You might think, well, I only need a couple, but it's free to go do those missions and get them. Whereas the Vizuri, it is a limited item. They give it to you constantly, somewhat, but it takes a long time to build yourself back up from 0. So it's just best to save it up, and occasionally the shop will actually even have some special items. This has sales for Vizuri, but as you can see, $25 gets you 1,000 free Vizuri, so that is pretty pricey. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you're best saving this up for the banners you want, get that character, and then just use the shop. And there'll even be times when they have, like, right down here, Dwayne's actual banner, and you can just spend the Vizuri to get guaranteed unit shards. So like, even if you manage to get him 1 every 10 times, you'd only get 40 shards for 10,000 Vizuri. This at least gives you guaranteed. And you can get, 120 of his shards. And you need, I think it is, maybe 500 or 600 shards to fully upgrade a unit. So let's just check one of my units is not fully awakened. So I only have her 2 limit broke. The first one's just like a regular 40. Then it's, you know, 80 I believe for this one. Then 120. Then 160. Then 200. So you need a lot of shards to get someone fully up. So what's the other way you can get unit shards? Well, there is hard quests, and I actually clicked the wrong one there, but story quests, and right beside the story quest on your hard quest list right here. These are what you do to get the shards for your characters, and you can get anyone's shards excluding the limited time units. So you won't find Dwayne's shards on here, but you will find everyone else's. But you won't be able to get the shards until you actually have that character. Then once you do, you can do a mission, and I believe I have his done already. So yeah, once you have it fully completed up here, you can even just skip the battle. And that's the best way to get their shards. It takes a long time, but it's also one of the easiest ways to get the shards. But be prepared to take a while doing it this way. The shop is faster, but this way doesn't really cost you any Visery unless you're attempting to reset, which costs 50 to reset at once, and you have to have a bunch of paid Visery and ranks in it. And the ranks just take forever to get up by paying for it, so your best bet if you're a new player is just to find the character you like, do the hard quests, do the shops. The good news is, if you're pulling on a character and it's their banner, they're going to be in the shop very, very often. Like, you'll be able to get everything you need. Now, also, if you're pulling on a banner character, which is recommended for somebody who's just starting the game, because you almost guarantee that they're going to have this kind of a challenge up here, which, as you can see, it gives 40, 80, 120 shards, which that's a good little chunk into it already. And they have it for every banner character that comes out, pretty much, where they have the challenges and you do them and then you get them. And the challenges are all simple stuff. They're not very hard. They're just located right there. There isn't too many other ways, really. That's basically it. You just have to buy them in the shop to guarantee you can get that character. So I would definitely recommend, if you're starting out, to look at who the banner characters are for that time and try to get them. Sometimes they'll have a nice little deal where, for instance, I believe for Dwayne, which if I had more Visery, unfortunately, I literally, oh, it doesn't show me how much I have there unless I click on a summon. I believe they have the 10 step for him. That's not the right one. Well, they have the 10 step for his card. Sometimes they'll have things like this, where if you do 10 summons, you'll get whatever is the featured card or character. Now that's 10,000 Visery, but it's guaranteed on the 5th when you get him, and sometimes you'll even get him earlier on, like say you get him on step 2 or 3. I kind of did that backwards, but then you would have him early and you could avoid doing this again, or you could just summon a couple more times and get it for sure if you really needed those shards and they weren't popping up in the shop. Because the worst thing for a limited time unit is investing a lot of time and effort into it, and then you're like 40 or 5 shards even just short of being able to max limit break him, because you won't be able to upgrade that unit again until they have a banner for him coming out. There are plenty of units that aren't limited time, but for instance, Agrius here was limited time, and I had to choose between her and Orlando, who I also got at the same time as the Final Fantasy II Tactics one. And I really wanted Agrius, so that's who I focused on getting all the shards for. And my Orlando is very low right now. And I don't know when they'll do another Final Fantasy Tactics banner, but yeah, he's right here. And I basically only got him a couple. Like, he has a very small amount. Basically what they gave me, or what I got in pulls for him. which was this. While I was trying to get Agrius, I managed to get him somehow. But I don't expect to get him up there anytime soon, because the next time they have a tactics banner is anybody's guess. Now, upcoming events here, since it's the winter, they're going to have a lot more characters being released, and they even have a couple winter characters, and I believe I have a page open that will show which ones. Those are all the new vision cards. I'm probably going to go over that too later, because there's a lot of changes being done. So they're going to have a Final Fantasy X collab too, so these 3 characters, of which all their abilities look really, really strong. But I like him. He's a really good character. So, you know, Auron, that's nice. Now, the Xmas ones, it might be these 2. The thing is, because we're playing on the global version, they might not have one of these ones. I don't know yet. Until probably tomorrow, the banner might change for the winter characters, because the other one runs out. Now, unfortunately for me, I like both of these characters, because my main character is Venera, and first ultra rare I ever got was Victoria. And the other unfortunate thing is they're both, you know, ultra rare, they're both limited time, and I only have a small amount of Vizuri. So we'll see what happens. I'll try to get one of them up at least. Right now they are handing out a good little amount each day, and I'm not going to spend anything until those 2 become available. So I'm really hoping that the next thing they do is like just a, you know, temporary banner, and it's not the limited time one. So they just have like a reprint of some of the old characters for Christmas. And they wait for the limited time for like next week or the week after, and then I could save up a couple thousand more. I mean, the most I can get in the story is 2,000 more, because I've done almost all the story I can. So let's go over the guilds. So when you start this game, honestly, you probably just want to join the first guild you get into. And it's not really worth creating a guild on your own, unless you really, really want to go through that process. And it is a long process, and you don't have a lot of benefits for it. So the guild I'm in is one I did start, and right now it's Gold 1. We kind of keep going up and then down, because we only have 19 members and not all of them are active. I'd like to change that, but the most important thing you'll find with guilds are these guild statues. Now, as you see, each one of these is 4 out of 10. And you might be asking, well, how long does it take to get them higher than that? And the answer to that is, it takes a long time, because you can give 50 experience for 10,000 of this and never use Vizuri on your guild statue. Even if you think you have a lot of this stuff, you can't get it any other, like, it's a limited resource. Do not use it. Use Gil. Use Gil 3 times a day, because you get a mission reward, and then you'll end up getting these for free from it. A bunch of this kind of stuff that give 50 or 100 or 200 experience, and you do that just for doing your 3 daily donations. Now, that's 150 experience out of 68,000. Even if you have a full, like, group of people, that's still not a lot. And the bonuses these statues give might seem really small at the start, but this one gives, 4% hit point. At the next level, it'll give 2 spirit, which is pretty big. So these are all the statue's effects right now, and it's all, like, there's 4% hit point, 4% TP, 4% magic, 4% attack, and you get more guild member slots and more sub-leader slots. The next thing, though, is, like, as they get up further in level, this one gives 2 defense, like, the effects slowly add up. So the recommendation is to join a guild. Well, you might be asking yourself, how do you join a guild? There are so many guilds out there. And it's not the easiest thing, because the guilds aren't the best to invite to. Because that's how I can invite. I go into the menu, I select it, and it sends out an invite. Now you're wondering, where does the invite go to? Okay, so this is the guild invite system. There isn't a send to specific player system yet, which would be great. You have to actually go out and look for your guild. Find the guild that you like. And you can search for names. Well, that crashed, but it doesn't take long to reload it. You can search up the specific games or the guild ID that they have to find whichever guild you're interested in joining. If your friend plays this game and has a guild, that might be something you're interested in doing. If not, though, I would recommend just going to the World Chat menu, which is, once we load up, right up here in the top left, and you're going to go to World, select Channel, click down, and then you're going to go Recruiting. And it's a little weird where they put it, and then just recruit. And see, I sent this one up, and that's where it is. And you just click on join, and you join a guild. So that'd be the easiest way. Just join a guild, join someone who's somewhat higher ranked than a bronze guild, or someone who has statues somewhat higher. Now, chances are you might get kicked from the guild if you have no characters leveled up, but you might just be left alone too. So, getting your characters up. Again, doing the story mode is the easiest way to do that, because you get all the materials you need. You need a bunch of little things to upgrade your characters. So one of the things you need is the shards. We went over that, but you also need these awakened materials. And let's go to a character I have that isn't awakened fully. So what you need is these rainbow prisons, and you are thrown so many of those at the beginning of the game. You just think these things have a never-ending supply, but you are very wrong about that very fast if you do what I did, which was get ready for an event and level up a bunch of my units in my party and not realize until it was too late that these things are very hard to come by once you exhaust them from the story mode. These, however, they're given to you for doing story modes or just logging in or collecting items from chocobos. You can get these pretty often. It does take some time to collect them, but if you're running through the story mode for the first time, you're going to have more than enough to level up a couple select units. So that is the key thing though. You have to pick the units you really, really like. For me, it was Kitone, Venera, Victoria was my first ultra rare I ever got up there, and Agrius. Agrius was the one that I got on the limited time banner. And Venera was also a banner character that I got, so I managed to max her out before her banner was even done, which was only like a week or two. Getting a character to level 99 a week or two when it's not their banner, that's going to be somewhat of a challenge. I've been playing for, quite a little while so far, like 5-6 months. Not as long as a lot of other people, but I haven't been able to invest a lot of money into it because I just don't have that kind of disposable income. But I have put some money into it. And even with that, I don't have, as you can see, a huge selection of level 99, ultra rare characters or maxed awoke characters. And that is because it is just hard to get the shards in the shop when there's this many characters. Actually, more than this even. And all their shards get thrown into the shop, and you only have 4 of these characters selected at a time. And you'll most likely have a mythic rare character listed in the shop, and then maybe 1 ultra rare every now and then. But they mostly go with the ultra rare, and most common are the super rare. Funnily enough, you won't find the normal rare character in there very often, because he's the only normal rarity character. You will never get him from a regular pull. You can only get him from his little pull, and you will, I guess, occasionally find him in the shop. But it is a rare thing to see, like, only 1 normal character. Like, you would expect there to be, like, 10 normal rarity characters, but he is the only one. Mythic rare characters are pretty much... There's a couple that are worthwhile noting that are still good. But for the most part, as soon as you get a couple ultra rares, those are what you want to invest your time into. Now, as for mythic rares, though, Mont is going to be your bread and butter. He's going to be the character you see in the shop almost constantly. Like, he is thrown like right at you. His shards are jammed down your throat. Funny, I never actually got him maxed out before I got my ultra rare Victoria maxed out, just because I got her shards, during a good time. But he was the second character I fully got to level 99. And like most people you will see, they will have a level 99 Mont in their guild group, their threes team, or pretty much anywhere, because a level 99 character is a very strong thing to have. And you might see another super rare character that's level 99 that you also got a bunch of shards for or saw in the shop a lot, so you bought them out. And now you have those two characters and maybe one ultra rare. That's probably what you'd be starting with after probably a couple months of playing the game. It takes quite a while when you're not investing money to get a full party of ultra rare characters. But, just keep doing the shard farming and the quests, and you should be fine with that. It's not too bad. They have daily missions and challenges that doing them gives you a good little amount. Like, you'll get a rare summon ticket each time you do your daily missions, which are just simple things like clear a hard quest, enhance an equipment, do a vision card, perform a video summon, perform a regular summon. They're all really easy to do, and they do give you 10 Vizuri. I think the second last one, no, those 4 give you 10, and then the final one gives you 20. Oh no, 50 actually. So you get 90 Vizuri from that. That's not too bad. It probably doesn't seem like a lot when you're doing the story mode and it gives you 500 all of a sudden, or when you log in and you get 1,000. And when you first start, they'll throw quite a bit extra at you to kind of entice you to keep playing. So it's worth doing all these little challenges, because they even have events for the characters that, see, there's more shards for Dwayne here in the events section of the missions. So if you get a banner character, do all their missions, do all their challenges, collect as many as you can from the shop, and just refresh the shop every now and then. I wouldn't recommend refreshing it too much, because you do have 9 or 10 days each time a banner character comes out. So he's already been out for a couple days, and there's 8 more days, so he'll be in the shop for quite a while still. So maybe refresh on the first 4 days 2 or 3 times. Spend up to 50 Vizuri refreshing. And then if you're getting closer to the deadline and you don't have a lot of his shards, then start spending more. Spend up to 100, spend up to 200 just to refresh the shop and try to get his shards. You don't want to go too crazy with it, because the cost becomes a lot as you constantly refresh the shop. So what else should we talk about? Well, units, that pretty much covers the basics of units. You need to be very careful with your rainbow shards and with the Vizuri you do have. Now, equipment, that's actually not that hard to get for your units. Some of the ultra rare items, they will have a limited time event, and it'll be a raid, kill this boss so many times, and those get pretty hard. Don't expect to get one of these in the first month of playing, because it's going to be hard to do. You might get one, maybe a low level one, a +1 ultra rare ring for doing some of the raids, joining in, if you can get a character up there high enough, fast enough. Most likely you won't, though. The types of weapons you will get are these mythic rare items, and you get those from doing quests. And the quests, each banner will have Agrius came with this equipment as a quest that you could get. So you'd repeat this quest over and over and over again, and you'd get so many recipes for this. And then you'd craft it. So the crafting system has improved a lot since when I first started. And I do have a lot of recipes for this item. I actually have a +5 and +4 version of it. So you'd get one recipe maybe when you did the mission, or you'd get a couple for completing the mission with a few stars, and you make, say, a level 2 or a +1 version. You only need 90 and 15 and 15. That seems doable. That's not bad. It becomes a little more difficult, though, as you go up in another plus version. And what does the plus version give you? Well, it gives you these here. It gives you this extra little page of stats here. And it helps your weapon grow more. That means when you do level it up, which I will show you. Let's just pick, go back here. This thing, I just awaken this once more. You enhance a weapon. So you feed it however much adamantine you need to level it up, and it goes from level 30 to level 40. So these are the weapon stats, and once you level it up, you get a chance to add these to it. I'm not, because I'm going to be turning it into a higher version, and there's no point using these if you're going to change it into a higher plus version, because these are lost when you upgrade it again. So just enhance it normally. Yes. And see, you get 26 magic for that. And I will probably end up resetting this one, because I didn't get a lot. So I'll end up resetting the whole thing, and then I'll use some of those seals on it to give it a chance to get higher like stats. But each one of these plus versions means it has a better chance of getting these stats. And you don't need to worry too much at the start if your stats aren't the best, because you can always reset your equipment. And that's just enhancement reset. You get these little hammers that do it. There is another way to do it too, and you can actually, instead of, if you don't have any of those hammers, you can click dismantle weapon. And you'd go over and you'd find whatever weapon you want to dismantle. Say I want to dismantle Sasuke's katana, and then I'd hit dismantle, and then I'd confirm the materials, so I'd get all this stuff back. So I'd get 155 ninja secret books, I'd get 6 of these, 5 of these, 120 of these, and 2 +3 versions. Then I could use a single recipe and all this stuff I got back and make it back into a +4 version that would start at level 0. So you don't have to use the hammers to reset your equipment's bonuses. You can dismantle it, reforge it, and then do that. If you have the hammers, just use them, because why not? And I normally don't reset too often, because there's only a couple items that I work really hard to get maxed out as much as I can. And if you're somewhat lucky with your stat rolls, you can easily just smith your weapon up the rest of the way. So this one, I've already smithed 8 times. And what you do with smithing, you get these little hammers occasionally from doing arena quests or missions or other things, and it just adds 3 extra magic to it if you add one. So you click 1 up there, and then it would add 3 magic to it. I only need 1 more magic point for this for it to be maxed. It isn't a full like +5 platinum rod, but I'm not sure I really want a +5 platinum rod. I didn't really invest that much into farming this yet. I might if I got another magic character that I really wanted to put into a team. And there's plenty of weapons and armors like that. You'll notice like sometimes you might just want to actually keep 2 +4 versions instead of getting a +5 because of something like this. This is a shield version of it, and I had good rolls on it, so it has 15 defense and 6 spirit. Like that's the max of those 2 I can get, and 316 health. That's not too bad. The big thing is the 15 defense. That's a pretty high amount. And then this version, which is a barrier version, which gives me the opposite. It gives me more spirit, less defense. And this one could use a little better for these, but it's all in all not bad. And one day I might mix them together and then do that, but when you mix them together, you have to reawaken them, and you have to resmith them, and you have to re-enhance them, and then you might have to reset them and redo it again. So sometimes, if you get the stats you really need and you're not sure whether you want to invest into it, or whether you're not sure if you have a character that you really need that on right now, you might just want to keep 2 +4 versions. For instance, my one character, Venera, this is her weapon. I did not fully max its attack yet, actually. That surprises me. Can I smith it? Can, but 10 times. I could bring it close. I'm almost wondering if I should just do that. Leave it alone. Because it's hard to get the stats all the way maxed out each time. That might make a difference in the guild battles, though. I think I'm going to do that, and that'll be good. It's pretty close. It's missing a little bit there. That's 30 extra attack, though. I'm not going to keep reforging it and redoing it over and over again. Ideally, when you go weapons, there are several different types. You could get critical if you're only going to, say, +2 it or something, and you're not going to get not going to try to get full attack, because when you make a weapon, there's a chance you'll get, for instance, an assault type. That assault type means it has a bunch more in the attack department here. So the total cap is 186, whereas if I had, say, a critical, it would have maybe 10 critical total, and you could get that, but it would only have like 120 attack, so it'd have a lot less attack. And in this game, critical isn't very useful unless you're not really planning to get your attack as high up there as you can. If you're only going to upgrade it however much you get it, critical is okay, but if you're going with a +5 version of a weapon, you want assault, or you want magic if it's a spellcasting weapon, such as this. That's the type you want, because honestly, they have dodge types, they have that kind of stuff, and it would give you like 3 or 4 evade on your weapon, and that is pretty useless when you lose like 50 magic for that. So make sure when you're getting the weapons, you get the right type you want, and you get a type by just forging a weapon. It just gives a random type to you. I exited out of there too fast. So crafting. So when you first start, you can buy normal ranked weapons from the shop, and they're pretty basic. And you'll find these rare weapons as you go through. All these rare weapons, I would not invest a lot of time or effort into. Like, maybe get a +1 or +2 version if you really want to. But even that, early on, I wouldn't worry much about it. Just make sure once you're done with these weapons, that you disassemble them, get the books back, because each time you upgrade something, you need a skill book to do it. Some of the super rare weapons are worth investing the time or effort into, but not a huge amount. Kojachi was one of the best ones to invest to for a ninja class, but then they came out with Sasuke's katana, and that became a lot better. Honestly, if you're investing anything, you should invest into the mythic rare equipments, because there is a lot to choose from, and sometimes it doesn't work out nicely and you're not able to do the right quests you want. So Farplane, I'll show you where to go to farm, and you just go into events, and I'll talk about the regular events here, and also the multi, which is just online player events, and those are actually better to do because they cost half as much, or they're free, depending on whether you're just joining someone or hosting someone. But as you see, they'll have limited time events where they have something like this, which is pretty useless once you've played a lot. Unless you get a brand new character, then this could be useful. JP is used to upgrade your skills and abilities of your characters. And these are very important to do and get, because Magicite, this stuff here, is used to upgrade your espers, which I will talk about later. And it's a long game to try to get those materials for these espers. Now down here, as you see, there's equipment training quest, and secret book quest. So these books are what I was talking about. These are what you need to upgrade all your equipment. So if you're upgrading any spear at all, and you're awakening it, which means you're giving it like from level 10, like you hit level 10 on your weapon, now you can awaken it, and now it's awakened up to level 20. So you can level it from 10 to 20. But you'll need a bunch of books to do that. So you need to go to these quests and get the books you need. And most of these quests will have 3 weapons or 3 types. The nice thing about it is all armor is all the same type. All accessories are all the same type. Each weapon has its own individual thing though, so you'll have to figure out which weapons you want and farm those. Now you'll get adamantine too from these, which is used to upgrade your equipment and armor. And then these experience cubes, they're for your characters. Early on, they can be really useful to level your guys up quickly. I would recommend using them. They're not hard to get. You get a bunch really. And later on, they kind of just accumulate and you have no use for them. These little seals are the things I was saying help you raise your chance when you level a weapon up that it'll get more attack. It's all random chance unfortunately though, so you could pop like 30 or 40 seals into a sword and its attack would only go up by like a little bit. Now growth eggs, they also throw in on these. These are for your vision cards, which I will go over as well. Those are one of the most important things. They're one of the hardest things to get shards for, unfortunately. And along with your espers, they take the longest to get up there. Equipment is actually fairly easy, because all you have to do to get your equipment is, say, load up one of these quests, Coral Sword or a Platinum Mace. You can take a look. And doing these, you'll get a couple books to level them up. Not a huge amount though, really. So these aren't the best to farm just for these. But this is what you want. The Platinum Mace crafting recipe. So you'll get one of these recipes. That lets you forge one. To make a +5 version of the weapon, which gives you the best bonus you can get and the easiest leveling up, you need 63 recipes. That's a lot. And doing one of these missions, you don't always get a recipe, unfortunately. So you could have to do one of these missions 100 to 200 times for that character that you want that +5. However, if it is a weapon for one of your main 3 characters that you are planning to use through the game, I would recommend getting a +5. If it's a character you're just going to use in your party, not really use during any of the events or PvP, a +3 version is okay, a +4 version is a little better, and a +4 version only would take half as many materials to make. It would only take like 32 copies of one of these, which is more reasonable. And now let's go about the easy way, because if you're starting out, you might not be able to have as many of these items that restore your NRG, which is what you use to do quests. You can also watch a video ad, which will restore a good old 30 NRG, which is not a bad amount. Never, and I repeat this, never use Vizuri. Okay? Don't. It's just not a good idea. It ends up costing more each time you do it. Well, not each time. Like every 4 times it goes up from 50 to like 100 to 150 or something like that. I honestly don't know because I don't do it that often. I think I've done it like 4 times in the entire time I played this game. And I only did that because there was a very specific event that I needed to farm because it was about to run out. And I had used up all of my items already and I had watched all the ads. I normally do watch the ads just because it's 90 free NRG. And that is a good couple quests. So if you go onto Farplane, the multi-quest right here is the best way if you're trying to save your, NRG, because you have all your same multi-quests in here. Now it's good to note that every quest in here counts as a brand new quest, even if you've done it in the main story. You can go through all of these and you can clear every single one of them, and you'll get 50 Vizuri as a reward, which, you know what, it's something. It adds up because there's a lot of little quests in here. But the main thing to note about these is that the NRG cost for every quest in here is half cost when you're hosting. Now, let's say we just want to join a random one. It costs nothing to join somebody's mission. So you can find, by just clicking on this and clicking on it again, join a room, and it'll have a list of all the rooms that are going. And you can piggyback off of these assholes who have put so much money into it, their speed is ×2. And I say that because I put a couple $100 into this game, and I'm not even close to the ×2 bonus yet, so they have put a lot of money into this game, and it is unfortunate that, you know, I can't quite put that much money into this game. But it's also, it is what it is. So you can get all these that you need for the equipment without spending any NRG, without spending any Vizuri. You just have to do it. So what I would recommend if you're playing on mobile, just queue up for those whenever you have time, whenever you can. If you're playing on computer like I am here and you have this BlueStacks, you can actually set up a macro so that when you join one of these guys' games, it'll just keep doing the clicking for you. So it'll click accept, it'll click not accept. That way you can just click on one of these, go watch a video or something. BlueStacks will probably crash within like an hour or so, but you know, it gets those missions done without you having to just constantly repeat the same thing over and over and over again, which is something that might burn you out a bit on this game. So that is how you get all your equipment kind of for your characters. And the other thing to note, so there's units, very important to save up your Vizuri for the shop. Equipment will very rarely be sold in the shop. And when it is sold in the shop, you'll find it in one of these kind of places, like it'll be the winter special, which ends one day, which is why I'm kind of hoping they don't have the characters that I really want pop in here. But they'll have these packs, and sometimes they'll be paid, and they'll give you something silly, like this paid one gives you, you know, select unit pack. This one gave you select ultra rare unit shards, which I purchased so that I could buy everything I needed for Aziza. And the unit ultra rare vision cards, I think those are like some of the most valued things you can get, because the ultra rare vision cards are so hard to come by normally. But you'll find like just say it would be a Winter Festival Part 3, and it would be a +4 or +3 most likely, like longsword or something, and then it would show it in here, you'd buy it, it'd probably just be regular free Vizuri. You wouldn't have to pay a lot of money. I did that for a couple pieces of equipment. I believe I still have them, and I don't have any units that use those equipment, but because of how long it does take to farm up those things normally, like yeah, I got 2 +3 golden armors, and I mixed them together, but I don't have a unit currently that I want to use this on at all. Later on, maybe I will, maybe I won't. It cost me 2,000 free Vizuri though, so I did it. I don't really regret it. They also had this rune blade. They only had one of them, I believe. Or maybe they had two. But I purchased one of them because, again, I don't have a greatsword user yet, but there might be a future release later on that does, and it's a unique one. It has slash attack resist, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll grab that. And it had a Sage's Hat, which for the longest time I was trying to get. And as you can see here, I had just been buying them from the shop for the 1 million gil that they sell them for. Because that's what happens when it's not the banner anymore. You can still find the recipes, however, you'll find them here in the shop. Way over here. So for instance, you'll have these items. See, there's the Sage's Hat I was just talking about. Now you can spend 1 million of this, you know, money on it, and all of a sudden, look at that. Like, I had 100 million and I upgraded 3 units fully. Got all their abilities up, and I'm down to 37,000 gil now. Or 37 million gil. So you can burn through it really fast. I wouldn't recommend purchasing these very often unless you only need a couple or you just want a few, because it comes down pretty fast. Like, you lose a lot of it, and then it takes a while to build it back up again. And you will want that for upgrading your units, because your units all have abilities on them, and Katone has most of hers maxed out. But you'd click abilities, then you go to this page, and as you get through the character and you awaken them and level them up and get them to JP, which I have 15,000 I can't use on her because she doesn't have anything else to really unlock. You go to ability enhance though, and say I wanted to enhance hide. Well, that's 17,000. That's not much, right? That's a very small amount. You click enhance, and let's click batch enhance because that's faster. So poison mist, we go all the way. It costs this much to get it up there. So that's pretty substantial. Then you go like, you know, upgrade a couple and all of a sudden you're using up all your JP, all your money. It's expensive to get an ability all the way up, but it's worth it because when an ability goes all the way up, the damage goes from like, say you had a slow, it would go from like 20 to 40% slow. So, you know, it'd be twice as effective fully upgraded. So it is worth leveling up the abilities you use most often, but definitely focus on those abilities that you use most often. Because there's no reason to upgrade abilities you're never going to use. You'll just be wasting your money. Now the hardest thing to get is going to be your vision cards. Those things are very rare. They rarely even have the paid banners that like drop more than like 4 or 5 of them at a time. So when you do get an ultra rare one of these or an ultra rare character, honestly your strategy might just be changed completely by which ones you do get and which ones you don't get. Because since this game is heavily dependent on the gacha system, whatever you get is what you get, and you try to make the best of it. For me, I got somewhat lucky because I got the like dodge characters I kind of liked, but when I first started this game, my original intention was to build an all magic team. That didn't happen because I did not get this magic card for the ultra rares. I didn't even get the mythic rare magic card until much later on in the game. So my strategy for going for a pure magic team wasn't very feasible since I had none of the cards. I did, however, get Secrets of the Heart. I didn't get Shiva until much later on, but because they're offering her shards now in the Moggle shop, I can get her up pretty easily. But Secrets of the Heart is the main key to my strategy right now because it gives me the most like dodge and accuracy on my team. So let's go over what vision cards do. Each vision card has like hit point, attack, magic, or it might have one of these other stats. Very rarely it'll have something like agility or AP or TP or even defense. But what that does is you equip it onto a character and it'll give them those bonuses. It'll add 290 health, it'll add 168 health, and then this party ability will get added to your party. Now, you need to note, party abilities, they do not stack. So what that means is if you have a luck up, you cannot have another card that gives you a luck up ability. It only takes the higher of the two values. The bestowed effect, this one goes only on your characters, Earth Attack Up. I have this on the character that's featured here, Katone. She's an Earth unit, so that works pretty good for her. The luck up works really good with her and my Venera, who's also a dodgy type character. Now, let's take a look at what that kind of looks like on a character. So let's go into formation, which is where we'll create our party. So these are all the different types of parties you'll need to set up. Quests, pretty self-explanatory. You get a 5-person party, you go on quests, whether those are multi-quests, regular quests, or that kind of stuff. Duels, you're only allowed 3 units, and currently there is a cost limit put onto the matched battles, so you can not have things that cost too much, which each unit will have its own cost. Each one of these guys will have its own cost. This will have its own cost. That's why I don't have ultra rare, ultra rare, ultra rare. I have an ultra rare vision card, a mythic rare one, and then a normal one, because I run into cost issues. In the normal guild battle, cost, whatever, doesn't really matter. I have these all set up like this. In fact, I believe I just leveled my Ifrit up, so this one gives 30% more attack. Ifrit, oh, he's still only at 27%, so. But for guild battles, I might as well equip, here it is, this vision card, which it's only 25%, but it also adds the slash attack and hate up, which is very useful if I switch those two around. Nara should not have the hate up. Hate up is, it's only on a couple. Actually, I think it might only be on that one card. Not 100% on that. But it makes your character more likely to be attacked automatically by somebody. So if it's in a guild battle where everything is autoed, then they'll most likely go after my tank character. So that card is like a must-have card on a tank when you're doing anything where it's an automatic battle or an automatic mission where the enemies are controlled by AI. In a duel, that card is, it has a nice attack buff on it still, but you could find better cards because there's no point to hate when an opponent is controlling their cards. They aren't compelled to attack Agrius just because she has one of those. So let's click on Agrius. Whoops. I guess I can just select everything from in here. So you'll get 3 weapon slots. You'll get a regular weapon slot, which will be unique to your character. For Agrius, it's the sword. You'll have armor, and you'll have accessories. So you can have more than one accessory equipped on a character. Like, for instance, right here, Katone has 2 accessories. Venera, however, has a hat, an accessory, and a dagger. Katone has this because there isn't really any armors I have for her that are very good. I could get a platinum robe on her, but I'd need it maxed out at least, or leveled up a lot more than what I currently have. This one isn't the worst. I could throw this on her and give her more survivability. However, then I'd be losing out on the dodge that she gets from this ribbon, which is basically what makes her, you know, survive most times. So you want your team set up however you get the cards, because realistically you might not get the cards you really want. You might only get a couple cards. So which cards are good to start with? This one right here, Vow of Love, is a must-have card for anyone who has any tanks because of this hate up ability here. And it does have good party attack, and it has good slash up on the bestowed character, so it's a strong all-around card. And then the hate up adds an extra little level to it to bump it up to a must-have mythic rare card. Now, you're gonna probably be like wondering which cards you use a lot, which ones you should use. And to start with, these cards here, they're actually not that bad to start with, because they're going to be what you get first, most likely. You might get a rare, ultra rare card immediately. If you do, and it works for a team you might have, maybe build your team around that card. Because if you get a Vow of Love, and you have a all, you know, archer or gunner team, it would be really good because it improves accuracy and dodge. If you got, say, Diablos here, and you had a dark team, well, it gives the dark attack up a bunch. However, if you got Diablos and you had no dark units, and you didn't want to have dark units, it wouldn't be the best idea to even level this card up at all. I'm kind of not leveling it up right now because I have other cards that I'm kind of focusing on more, such as Shiva. I want her 4-starred for my team, specifically because she adds evasion, which is really good for my party. And then the third card I might add might be an Ifrit to it, because it gives everybody a bunch of attack up. However, I'm still not sure what my third dedicated card will be in my battles yet. It might be Fenrir even, Ability is he has some good resistances, which might make my, party survive more. The magic attack resistance is great against a lot of things. But really, the cards, it depends what you get. And again, you can find some ultra rare cards in the shop occasionally. You might not for quite a while though, so leveling up a mythic rare card all the way to full is much more likely to happen. Like this one here, you could easily get this one up all the way compared to this one here. This one's a slash. I only have it 1 star up though, so it's only 1 star. It gives 21 slash attack up. That's the ultra rare. Now another card that gives the slash up is this one here, Secret Orders, and it gives 20 slash up. Okay, so it's 1% less, but it does have a better agility here, and it's not bad all around. See, the thing is, a fully upgraded 4-star card that's mythic rare is probably going to be better than a 1-star ultra rare card in most situations. It's definitely going to be better than a no-star ultra rare card that doesn't have any stars invested into it. So focus mostly when you first start out on a couple mythic rare cards, and I would suggest, if you do want to invest any money, this crystal here is one of the first things you should get because it raises your job points up by 50%, and then you can invite somebody into your party when you're doing a quest that has the job crystal on, and you'll get 100% job points. And it also gives this little bonus, which AP is your action points. They're what allow you to do damaging abilities and spells. It's a nice little bonus. Overall, the stats aren't that great. You want this for the JP, and it is a purchased only item that you can purchase through the shop in the special selection. And that's not too pricey. I believe it's only like $1 or something. I'll take a look here. But it's one of the few things that's worth the investment, just because it does last a long time. And since I purchased it, it's in the sold out section. Or maybe it's not here. Nope, way down here, $10. So $10.99. You get the paid Vizuri too, which can be useful occasionally. Now I'm going to go over a couple things you never want to use paid Vizuri on. And I've done it a couple times where I've used it stupidly. And hopefully you can learn from that mistake that I've made. So in the summons, you can find these things down here. The rare summon. Now it gives you 1 daily free paid summon for 50 points. Now you're going to do one of these, and I'm going to give you an example, and hopefully I don't get an ultra rare to ruin the example, but I'm spending 50 paid, so actual money, to do this summon, and I got a super rare character. That is not worth money at all. So I'm glad I got a garbage unit to kind of emphasize my point that the single summons aren't worth it. They give you a free summon card every day. So every day you do your dailies, you get one of these for free. So they give you free paid summons, basically. Occasionally you'll find in the shop a 10 times summon for like 400 or something. That's somewhat worth it. But the single summons, I wouldn't do it because you end up spending a lot of your paid Vizuri, and they will have special deals occasionally. If you're investing any money, you might just want, say, this here later on. You get, honestly, a lot of shards for 2,000. Or you get 10 ultra rare units guaranteed for 2,000 of it. If you don't have a single ultra rare unit in the game, guess what? Now you have a whole lineup to choose from for some paid money. But again, it costs quite a bit, and if you're just starting out, you're not going to want to invest into this. This is something you invest into after you've played for a long, long time. And even then, you don't have to invest into this game like that. Now, the Moggle shop, let's go over some of the stuff in that. I guess this is going to be a pretty long video. I kind of just started it to be somewhat short, but we'll go over all the different things. So each event, there'll be limited time things. This one has these, which can be used to exchange for any unit or vision card, which is pretty generous. I'm waiting to see what they have next week coming up, because they might have more of these medals. At one point I did have 200, and I'm going to regret that I never got Dwayne, but I'm really just saving up, because I would have to invest so much of my Vizuri into him if I did get him, and I just don't have it. And I can't spend like probably the $200 it would take to get the Viz to be able to get him. I just need to wait a couple weeks, save it up through missions, gifts, and everything else. So each like summon banner will have these, and every time you pull on that banner, you'll get a couple medals, and you can use that to get a couple of these guys. I think I summoned once on the banner this time, and I didn't get this character, but I planned to use her, so I bought, 5 of her medals for the 100 I got for the times 10 pull. And then I didn't pull on this banner at all after that, because, again, this limitation, and I know there's characters coming up that I do want, so I need to save. Friend medals can be used to get some of these, like shards, and Shadow Links will probably be one of the earlier ones you get, and if you do get Frederica, or you plan to use a gunner ever, you could use friend medals to get the shards for her. They've been in the shop for quite a while. They also have arena medals for characters. You probably won't be able to get many of Zyza's, but as soon as you have any medals in the arena, don't worry about any of this other stuff. It's all trash. You don't need any of it, ever, at all. You'll never get one of these +5 by using this metal system in here. You don't need these. You need these. And there's a very specific reason for that. Her Trust Master, which is what you get for fully awakening and fully limit breaking her, is probably the best in the entire game. So you want this character. You want her shards even if you don't have her yet. You want her shards for when you do get her. And start getting those shards as early as possible. You can get them through the arena medal shop right now for basically just doing your daily arena stuff. PvP medals, they have a couple pieces of equipment in here that they're good to get, but they take a long time to get them up, because you only get like 10 PvP medals per battle. You slowly get more as you get up there. You'll get a lot more if you compete in the PvP events and the ranked matches and all that. That's how I got up to this, because I was not doing the normal PvP ones for this, because I wasn't going to get 10 medals, maybe 20 medals, or 30 medals for a victory, like 5 times a day for months and months to get one of these. My time was spent doing other things elsewhere. Now, I'm kind of biased on which one I'm picking out of here, because I really need the evasion for my evasion team, so I've just been buying her. However, Odin is a good card, Shiva is a good vision card, and even this Tetrahedral Sulfate card is also really good as well. I believe it adds a bunch of wind attack to your party. Now this unit here, Medina, is probably going to be one of the best farmers you'll get in the game, and her shards are in the friend medal. If you do get her, I would suggest putting some medals into her just for farming purposes. These, they're not going to be very important to you starting out. You might get to the silver medals. I remember it took me like 4 or 5 months before I even saw like a good little chunk of gold medals in here. And then all of a sudden I had all the shards for all these characters and no reason to really spend these on anything, so they've just been accumulating. Honestly, the mythic rare characters, I have still a lot more to get. I got really lucky in a poll recently where I got a bunch of the guys I had. I got, I believe it was Zyza. I just had her max and then I pulled her, of course. And I pulled like a couple others like Venera and Catone. I got a ton of shards for those guys when I already had them. So I'm just saving those up, and I'm actually not using them to upgrade these other units yet. I might use them on Kilfa, because I'll build a magic team finally. But I'm using them for these job ascension materials. These ones are kind of irritating to get, so I'm just keeping these for whenever I need something like that. Because there's a lot to go over for your units as you level them up. So let's talk about their job levels. Actually, let's go all the way over here, because I know these idiots. I do have Howlette. I'm planning to put him in my magic team once I level him up. So these materials are what you use to get your character's job enhanced. And what does that mean? Well, that's what gives them access to their abilities. This is what an ability board looks at. Like, first, everything's locked. You use some of their job points. You unlock an ability. Now he has magic +3 forever, and so on. And you do that for a bunch of these abilities. Unlock. Unlock. And then you go back, and what you need to do, see, this is grayed out, it's locked, you can't get it. And what does it say? Awakened 2-star or higher, so you need to go to your awaken menu. And I don't have actually what I need to awaken him. I need 50 of these. So if you're ever confused about where to get a material from, just click on it and it'll tell the mission that you can get it from. So that's easy enough to get, 16 of those. They're not a hard material to get. Every character has these Alchris, and you can farm them up pretty easily. You can even do them in the multi for free, so you don't have to pay anything. Now, you want to enhance your job, so you use these materials, all of which you can get through the story mode. Mostly for the greens, you'll just find them in the story mode, and then later on in the higher level missions, they even throw some of these back in there just cause. So let's upgrade him to, say, level 3. So we upgrade his job, and one of the first things you'll notice, you unlocked an ability board, and a bunch of his stats increased. It was kind of hard to see, but they all go up. Now, you also unlock these abilities on the ability board, but once a job gets to level 15, your character looks less like this, and more like one of my other characters over here, because they also level up a lot, and you end up with a character that looks like this. You have a ton of these pluses, just from equipment, abilities, all that kind of stuff, and then your just base stats will go up a lot, and you can get some really useful abilities on your characters, but you need to put the time in, level them up, awaken them. Something I would suggest, don't awaken characters you don't really plan to use. Don't even level up characters that you don't plan to use. I was thinking about using Stern before, so he has a couple levels in him, but then I ended up not. Occasionally, they will have big events where they have characters, and you can use every single character you have in this huge event. So there's a lot. When that first event came out, I spread all my resources out to all the characters you see before you, minus a couple new characters that are over here. And then I ran out of all my awakened materials, all my rainbow shards, everything. I was just done, and it took me an extra couple months to get the characters I wanted awakened, because I could not get these rainbow shards as often as I wanted. Now, I just kind of hoard them for those few units that I really want. This will be one of them. So let's talk about one of the things you get for awakening a unit all the way. You get this item here, a Trustmaster reward. So this item is something that every character will have. They'll have a Trustmaster item. her boots are really good, and it's something to really invest into just to get her up there. But I'm biased again because they give 10 evade, a bunch of agility, defense, a little bit of hit point, and this limiter off, which is range up and raises your agility again. So for my speedy team, that is very, very good. But for most other mages or rangers, this is a very good must-have Trustmaster item. So if you ever get her, getting this item is a good idea. So the Trustmaster item goes into your third slot, and you can only equip Trustmaster items in that slot. So let's go to a character I have the Trustmaster open on. So it'll open up this page, which will show you every Trustmaster item you can equip on this character. And there are some that are, you know, only these classes can equip. But it's normally a good little list. There's a few that are more specific because that's a sword, only these guys can use swords. Now, a Trustmaster weapon is very useful if you aren't planning to get a high level weapon of that. So, and you'll notice there's a bunch of these like stats going down instead of up. That's because this character's proficiency is like, it's the worst. It can't get much worse than this. It can be E rank, so a little bit worse than this. Now, how do you raise your equipment proficiencies? Well, you just have to equip your person with basically these garbage like weapons. I mean, they're really good weapons, but because you don't know how to use them, you're stabbing your own foot and you're hurting yourself. So you get nothing but negatives. The higher the rating of the weapon, the faster your proficiency will go up, and you just have to put them on quests and run them through hundreds of quests to raise this proficiency up. There is also Esper proficiency, which the more you use an Esper, and I'll show you the Esper page here. The more you use an Esper, the more the proficiency will go up and the bigger the stat bonuses are. So all this stuff you see here, it isn't the ability, like this isn't this guy's attack. This is what your unit will get increased when you equip him. And you probably won't see that big of an increase to start with. You'll see something more like this, a very small amount. And then you'll be able to upgrade him a bunch, and he'll get more stats. And this star here is what you can do. You can awaken them, and you'll need a special material which you'll have a quest to do, whatever. It's pretty easy to do. But one thing you don't know until you do it is you get from level 1 to level 50, and level like 45 to 50, like it takes a lot of materials to get them there. Then you level them up and you're like, oh, okay, my level cap's been raised. No problem. That's great. So I'll go from level 50 to level 80. What actually happens is it resets you to level 1. You keep all the stats though, and you keep all the ability points for your guy, and then you level up from level 1. And it's not hard to level up from level 1 to 40 again. It's just as easy as it was over here on this side. But you all of a sudden get like 30 or 40 levels super easy. And it just makes your summon really, really strong. So it goes from like that to, you know, one of these guys who has been awokened. It basically almost doubles all of the stats, triples some of them. And then each time you level up one of these guys, they get a couple like spirit points or special points or whatever they are. And you can equip your Esper with these talents or abilities, which all of them have their own little thing. And these all get put onto your character as well. So evasion rate goes up, evasion rate goes up, pierce attacking goes up. You do more damage to ice units. Your base attack is increased a bunch. Evocation means that when you do use the summon that this guy has, it does a little more damage. You have more accuracy, you're more resistant to this, like missiles, you're more resistant to all water units. So Espers are a very, very strong thing to build up. However, once you get them to this point, like this used to be a lot, and if you see batch enhance, I'll max them out like I mean, it's not a lot right now. Even if I had 30 of those, it would barely move this bar, but it's almost enough to level him up. What you want are these extra large ones, which as you can see are worth a hell of a lot more than these guys. However, they only rarely have these listed in quests. Earlier I showed that one of these quests was available, and I'll probably do it for this dragon because he's almost leveled up and he is one of my few that is on my main characters. So as for these, again, let's filter it by level, ascending. I don't have very many, high leveled. I have Odin, and the reason I have him up so easy, and it might be one of the reasons I don't, is he uses every single type of material. So for instance, I haven't had any green, good espers yet. So I was kind of hoping to get tetrahyd sylphid, and then I'd level her up. But I'm just saving these till I do. I've put a couple towards Odin, and then Earth. I do have an Earth one. I haven't had a Thunder one at all, so I put a bunch towards Odin. I put every single small and medium of all of them towards Odin. And because he accepts every single thing, he did end up getting up there eventually. So he was the first one I got to 80. And he's the one I have equipped, I believe, either on Ketone or Venera, either or, and then this is the other one. And the reason I have either these two is because of their abilities. And you'll want to pay attention to which abilities your espers have, and you'll want to invest in the ones that, for instance, increase your slash attack up on your slashing units, or have an ability like Maneater, which just raises damage to every character that they hit with physical damage. And then attack up and evasion up. So those are very important to do. I may rebuild him at a different point. You can reset them and redo them. So I might go with a defensive missile build and do less attack so that maybe my, assassin can survive a sharpshoot much better than she does right now, because it's been a problem lately. And the espers you use can sometimes change what works good against you. Because if I had 10% resistance to those kind of attacks, I'd be taking, on average, maybe 300 less damage on a sharpshoot, which could be what keeps me alive or what doesn't. Golem is the one I have equipped onto my Agrius because he is just a tank. So, just like your vision cards, well, you actually get your espers from vision cards. You'll get, say, Golem's vision card, and it'll give you a Golem the first time you get it. Or you'll get Odin's vision card, and you'll get him the first time you get it. Whichever one of these you do get that works with your party, they'll be the one you level up a bunch. So for the starting Esper that I first got is I got Ifrit. So he worked great with Victoria, so I leveled him up a bunch. However, my team kind of changed more to a slashing and dodge variety later on. And so I ended up switching more over to these guys. And this guy here, he's going to be a magic one, and a magic one, and a magic one. As you can see, they're not leveled up as much. I have awoken them though, that takes a lot of time. And this will be a 3s team for magic once I do get that up there. However, it's going to take a while still, because I need to farm a bunch of shards, and I'm doing it the same way most other people do, which is the slow way. It's the way where, you get 2 shards a day for what you want. And the espers, they take a while to level up, but they make a huge impact. So equipment is by far the easiest thing to get your characters equipped with. I wouldn't worry too much about those. Espers, again, it just takes a long time to get them. Vision cards, those are the things that I would recommend you spend Visory on whenever they are available in the shop. Or, no, basically just in the shop. You don't want to try to summon for them unless there's a special banner for one where you're guaranteed to get one, because they're the hardest thing to get fully maxed out in this game, and they by far make a huge impact. I would rate them in terms of impact actually in the order they're listed in the game. Your equipment is kind of up here. Not having good equipment really does, it sucks, but it's easy to get up there, so it's not that big of a deal. Espers, they take a long time and they do make a big difference. Oh, one of the things I forgot to mention about Espers is when you have an Esper equipped on a unit, each time you do a battle, you build this resonance. And what does resonance do? It goes from level 1 to 10, and you're thinking, okay, that's not so bad. Keep in mind, when you look at this, it's next 99. What does that mean? 99 more battles for a level. So you need a lot of battles to raise it up. And I'm pretty sure it's like 100 battles each time raises. So you need 1,000 battles. Yeah, 1,000 battles to get it to level 10. So the best way to do that is just to, pick the Espers you really want on those characters and put them on. You can also just auto-repeat battles so that they'll do this. You can do that for lower level stories, so they'll get them done quick. It's the best way to farm this resonance. And you might be thinking, well, is it really worth it? Well, because you get 100% stat bonuses for that. So what does that mean? Well, it means it's definitely worth it because it doubles all of these stats right here. You get twice as much of this on your characters, which is really nice. It's a huge bonus. So you definitely want to do that because, come on, you want your characters to be as strong as you want them to be. You would like to, ideally, after a couple months of playing this, have a full party of 99s who can hold their own in an arena or in the guild battles. And I believe I have a guild battle right now, so let's go into that. Guild battles are what you do to help your guild out. So you get into a guild battle, they have these stars up here, and then they have the stars here. These are the stars your opponents have gotten. These are the stars that you've gotten. So I believe my characters are listed here, right here. So I still have 2 out of 2 attacks. This is my setup here. And I get to pick whoever I fight over here, stars held, total attack. So I'm going to go with total attack, and we're going to try to fight someone at the top. Let's see how we do. So whenever you select an opponent, you don't see who his other 2 party members are, which means you don't know if he has a build, such as these guys are both gunners, and they're going to counter my team. And for these guild battles, you have absolutely no control over your units at all. But a nice thing is, and you don't have to do it all the time, because you'll probably want to watch a couple of your guild battles, see how your party does against other teams, and change what they do. And I'll go into how you can affect the outcome based on the AI, because there is limits to what you can and can't do. You can actually turn abilities on or off though, and that will change what your characters do often. See, this person has 2 gunners, which it's not good against a team that relies on evade, because gunners have sharpshoot, which is basically a guaranteed hit every single time. So my Venera will probably run in, shoot someone, and then die. Or she'll die from this person right here, using a second sharpshoot on top of her.
Take that. Were you captivated, perhaps?
Oh, but I guess she didn't have enough AP. So she moved the Heavenly Blade. Did a bunch of damage. She turned the speed up on, but sharpshoot again. 2 sharpshoots. Basically, that's unfortunately how it goes. So I'm going to skip this though, and then it will just tell me that I lost pretty bad there. And that's unfortunately what happens sometimes. You go into a guild battle and you see one unit you're okay with fighting, and then you get 2 units that your party just does not work very well against. Especially on different maps, because the maps change, their effects change. Sometimes they'll have accuracy up. This map works really bad against me because my units just run directly into it, and my main tank stays back, unfortunately, because she doesn't have the same movement my other 2 fast characters do. But let's talk about turning abilities on and off to kind of make it so you can control the outcome of what your characters do. So you're gonna go to abilities, ability enhance. Now let's go ability set. So then you hold your cursor over top of this and it'll bring up another menu. So you're just gonna go over top of the class, ninja main class, and then you press down on your mouse or you hold your finger on it and it pops this little menu up, and you can select use in auto battle. So if you select no, it will not use it in auto battle. So I have all those use in auto battle, doesn't really matter much. Advanced settings is what you want to use if, for instance, you want to use it on quest auto battle, but say you didn't want to use it in a duel or in a guild battle. This is the one that includes every single character, and maybe you don't want to use a certain ability in that, so you could turn them off, turn them on, set them up however you like to. And different types of game matches might need different abilities that you would use. So that is just the main class's abilities. To adjust your secondary classes, you need to also click on it, hold it, and then you get all your time mage abilities. And then these abilities are the other abilities you can do and adjust and change. Now, for sub-abilities, you can choose between 3 classes with every character. The job level doesn't affect how strong the ability is. Your level of that ability affects it, and your job level affects how, much stats you have and how many abilities you can learn. Because if you don't have the high enough job level, you might not learn all the abilities. But the ninja class is her main class, but it also has a subclass that includes a few abilities of its own that aren't included in the main class. So Poison Mist, it'll teleport me over somewhere else, and I don't have that as part of just the main standard class. I have to select this as subclass as well. So for Kitone, I have her set up as a time mage because haste is really good. However, you can change this and it will change your character's playstyle. Soldier has a lot of heavy hitting abilities that really hurt. Ninja has a couple other abilities that are neat and hurt a little more. Time Mage leaves her kind of without a lot of attack options, so she's a little weaker one-on-one. However, the support she can get from that and the speed bonus is pretty useful in combat, and she has a couple other neat abilities, and sometimes a stop that stops a person for 3 turns is invaluable in a team fight, because you only have 3 units. If you stop one of them for 3 turns, most likely someone's going to be dead by the time that's up. So that's something to keep in mind for being able to customize what your characters do in a random battle. Now, I think that covers most of the standard things you might want to know about this game, and things you should just be kind of understanding. Friends aren't very important in this. Not saying friends aren't important, it's just friends in this game are very, very replaceable. So as you play the game and you do the multi, you will get a lot of friend notifications. Just accept whoever invites you. You might have the rare case where, like, for instance, I have a couple of my guild mates in here, right here, because I know they play often, so I threw them into my friends list. And unfortunately, there's no, very good organized chat system in this game. So you can't, message these guys on here like, hey, how are you doing? You want to do some battles? You have to find some other way to do that. So either Discord or Steam, which is what's happening to me right now. One of my guildmates is most likely definitely messaging me right now. And the main point of friends is these. They're basically just medal dispensers for you. And you claim them, and bam, you have a bunch of these medals. I would not recommend putting it on Gil. Gil is something you get from everywhere, and these, you only get them from friends, and they can be used in the Mogul shop to get special items, special awards. You saw that earlier. Now, you can choose to select your gifts. Occasionally they'll have an event, so make sure you check up on the events that they give, say, 10 medals, and you might want that instead because it's twice as many medals. They do that for the guilds quite often. And basically just hoard the friend medals, kick anybody who is inactive for a long time. I don't believe I have anybody like that. So it's pretty good here. There's just one day, one day, one day. As long as they log in daily, they can gift you daily. Which each person who gives you 5 medals, you know, it builds up slowly. I'm saving these up for when there is something that pops up in here that I really, really want. So, for instance, right now, I don't really want Frederica. I'm not building a gunner team, so I don't really care. Her Trust Master isn't very good. I've already maxed Shadow Links out by using Friend Medals because she is a very good character for ninjas and for raids because she can build up a slash combo really well. So she is worth investing. She is a mythic rare character. So you'll find her shards in the shop a lot easier, and they're pretty easy to get here because, you know, that's 2, 4, 6 friends giving you these medals gives you 1 shard. You'll most likely have enough to get 4 shards a day from her, and then you can also do her mission if you get her, which you should be able to because she's just a mythic rare character. If you really need to, you can also spend, you know, 2,000 of these on a rainbow shard. I haven't done that for a while because I've been just saving them up. And I'm waiting to see if there's a limited time unit or shards or something that come into the shop that could be really useful for me, like they did with the guild medals, which I was just spending them on dumb shit before they ever had these guys in here. I was buying, say, you know, like a couple of these things whenever they came available to upgrade my statue, or maybe one of these, and then all of a sudden these became available, and I had so much buyer's remorse for all these other little derpy things I bought with the medals. So now I hoard the medals as much as I can and save them up for, you know, characters or shards or something that'll be released for a limited time in those shops. And I recommend you do the same because you never know what could eventually come into the shop. They might switch those characters out at some point to a character you really, really want, and then you would have no medals for it if you've been spending them on things you can get literally from other places very easily. So save those up as much as you can. The item exchange shop is something I would not recommend doing, especially early on. It lets you exchange any material for more materials at the cost, though. You exchange, say, 20 copper spears for 1 silver spear. Or for gold, 20 silver spears. You get the picture, right? You lose a lot exchanging from the lower value up to the higher value. And you don't always need them. So to make one of these, I would need 5 of these. But these spears, they are what you use to upgrade your highest class characters, and you need quite a few of them. And you also need these for vision card upgrades, character upgrades, so you don't want to be spending them and throwing them out willy-nilly. Especially even these, you can exchange them over, but you lose 2, or you lose 1 each time you exchange something over. So say I had 800 ice ones and I needed 200 fire. I could do it, but I would lose a lot. And you would rather just wait and collect them through the story or collect them through events, because they will hand them out enough. If you're like waiting on, like, say, I needed 7 more ice ones to upgrade a character and I have 655 fire prisms, okay, that's not the biggest deal. But I would not use that, or any of these, honestly. I barely ever come to this shop because of the very fact that you use all of these other lower ones anyways. So you don't want to start throwing them all out just to get a couple of these high ones, which you can find ways to farm them. These are all farmable, these are all farmable, these are all farmable. Honestly, you'll probably have the hardest time collecting the green and the blue just because you need to do the lower level stories, and you'll want to do the higher level stuff for that. And you can also buy all that stuff in the shop occasionally, except for, you know, the rainbow shards, unless they're paid Vizuri on sale. You won't find those for regular Vizuri. So they're hard to get. Save them up. Save up your Viz. Basically save up a lot of your stuff, and don't spend it on things that you don't need. And there's so many things that you don't need and you just need to kind of learn how to recognize what it is that you really want for a party. So when you're first starting out, do a couple pulls, see who you get, see what you get, and then plan accordingly based on what you get. And don't buy things you won't need. And any information you need about what's going on, what events are happening, it'll be listed in the notices, but it didn't want to tell me that. It just wanted to crash on me. So you'll find out what banners are upcoming, what events are going on, other little things like that. Good place to go just to read and figure some things out. One of the places I will recommend you go, though, for all your War of the Visions information is War of the Visions Calculator. That will tell you almost everything you need to know. It'll tell you all the skills, all the stats, all the abilities, and when it tells you the skills, it doesn't just say, oh, it increases range for self, or it increases your missile attack, because this is the only information you'll get in the game, is that it increases missile attack. You don't know how much. So what this is, this 5 here, that's the base, without any upgrades, anything, that's what it starts on. This 15 is the total increase at the highest level. At level 20, it gives you 15% more for yourself. And you might notice a lot of this is in Japanese. And why is that? Because this is the JP version. Since we're on the global, you can also go to the JP version of War of the Visions Calc, and you will see which units are all coming out. So you'll see that there is an Xmas, Victoria, or an Xmas Venera. Whether we get them in the global or not is yet to be seen until they become on the banner, and there will be some changes. But for the most part, this has English translations here. Except for some of the names you won't be able to know unless you know Japanese. But it tells you basically the Trustmaster effects and goes and shows you all that, as well as their base stats. And this place, I cannot tell you how much it has helped me get through and learn which abilities to use on my units. Because, for instance, going to somewhere like here, these are the support abilities, the ones you equipped on your characters, and you'll have abilities that say increase accuracy, and you're like, well, okay, how much does it increase? And you don't know. And then you have other ones that are like, they increase 2 things, but you expect that the one that only increases 1 won't increase as much on one of these. Like, you expect the increased accuracy to be much higher than one that has increased accuracy and increased luck. I don't see that on here, but for instance, this right here, it has increased hit point and increased attack. Now you would expect one that has an extra ability on top of that to increase it by a little less, but it doesn't, and you don't know that until you actually look at the ability. So this one is the exact same type of an ability as this one, except for it's better because it adds increased defense penetration. So you would always use this one over this ability here. And then you'd probably use one of the other abilities. Or maybe you want to double up and have 24 and 48. Just because. But this will tell you how much you can totally get for all those, and it will tell you how much damage your attacks do, what the chances are on a bunch of other things. And it gives you all the information that you just don't get from the War of the Visions. So definitely check out War of the Visions Calc. It's a huge help for just learning what your abilities do. And I believe that is pretty close to everything that I think you should know about the game. I kind of went a little bit everywhere there. Sorry about that. It's not the most concise or put together. I just kind of booted this up and decided to just go over a bunch of the things that I wished I'd known a long time ago when I first started. I mean, a lot of these other things you'll figure out. Chocobo expeditions, they level up your characters, you collect materials, and they're basically, you just throw whatever units you want to level up a little bit faster on them, and then you collect items. And you can select where your people go, and that's how you'll get most of your Esper upgrade materials. And occasionally you'll find shards for units, but you'll have to switch wherever your chocobos are going. Because in the Blinding Dunes you get nothing but light units. So you'd click on party formation, change that, then you can go to any of these other caves. You can see what they give you. This is good if you're just starting out and you want like materials for your weapons, because it'll give you a bunch of these adamantines. And early on it helps, and sometimes you'll get like rare materials and stuff that you couldn't get normally. And this one gives just summon materials, so you don't get any shards, but you do get all of these. And it's good to go if you don't know what you want for Esper materials, because you don't have any yet. Pick this, because it'll just give you a little bit of everything. But the big thing is it does let you level up your units a good little amount. And a note, these high-speed expeditions. So you'll be given these tickets occasionally throughout the game. And again, you've heard me say this before, but don't use them. Save them up, because as much as you might want to use them, there'll be a moment when you complete a quest and you'll get a increased chance to find rare items. I would still recommend not to use them, because occasionally they will have limited time places for your chocobo to go exploring to. They would have like an ancient temple and you'd click it on there. And they'd have the limited time character shards in there, as well as like the shop medals. They have that for Final Fantasy Tactics. That's when you want to put your, high speed expeditions. And even then you want to wait until it says like increased frenzy or whatever, and then there's like a ×2 drop rate, and then you'd click, okay, use my ×10 hour, use my ×10, use my ×10, use my ×10. You would use everything you have, but you can only use 5 a day. And again, do not use your Vizuri for these, unless like you are so close, like you need like 5 more medals to get the final shard you need for your character. These kind of things, they trick you into spending more money because they eat away at your Vizuri and they just don't give you enough back, because that only gives you 2 hours, and 2 hours is one of these little guys here. It's a bronze token, and let me show you what you get for 2 hours. You get 12 items, and what are those items? Well, they're a bunch of garbage, really. Like, you get a whole bunch of these tiny white little shards which give so little experience, it's not worth noting. And this is the only thing that was okay, but really for 100 Vizuri, I believe it was? Yeah, 100 Vizuri. And I can't actually see what the next level is, but I believe that also goes up as you spend it. I have not done those because that is just a pure waste of your Viz. Do not do it, even with the expedition, unless like it's a last day of an event. You're not going to have another day. Tomorrow it's over, and you need to collect just 5 more little tokens. Then do it, but otherwise never do that. Ever. There's a lot of ways to spend Viz in this game, but it's not worth it 9 times out of 10. And you don't notice how little you have until you're down to your last little bit. And when you don't have any real ways to do it, because you get a bunch for doing co-op the first time you do multis, you get a bunch. The first time you do all your story modes, you get a ridiculous amount. Like tens of thousands. However, after you spend it all doing a bunch of banner pulls stupidly and buying a bunch of things from the shop that you didn't really need, but you thought, well, why not? I have tons of Viz. And then a new banner comes up and you're down to 10,000 Vizuri, and you're like, well, how do I get more? You don't. You have to wait like a lot of time for that. So be careful with your Vizuri. Build your team based on what you get after your first several pulls and whatever vision cards you get. And if you are going for a banner character, make sure it's one you do like, because you can always wait for the next banner character. Especially when you're starting the game, you don't have to rush a level 99. Play through the story, enjoy the game a bit. Just, get used to it. Buy the banner character that you do want. Check out War of the Visions calculator so that you can see what you might like coming up, because if you just click on units, it'll take you to a page that shows you every single unit in the game. And the Japanese one will have units that are upcoming, I'm kind of looking forward to the Final Fantasy X one, but depending on how long that is in the future, I may not pull on it. Because, unfortunately, I'm definitely going to be going for Xmas Venera or Xmas Victoria. I'm basically probably going to have to pick between the two, and I'm going to pull on the banners and see if I get either one of them. If I get both of them, unfortunately, I probably won't be able to build one of them all the way up, but I'll have them. And if I don't get either of them, that will be unfortunate, but I got Agrius way back in Tactics, and I said if I didn't get her, I was just quitting. Because a long time ago, when Warrior of Light came out, I kind of wanted him, kind of didn't want him, and I should have just passed on the banner. But I spent all my Vizuri, and then he had a step-up summon, and that was the worst thing I have ever done. And I do not recommend ever doing these banners, because I spent probably $100 back when I was working, and not hard up for money like I am now, unfortunately, and did one of these summons, but it wasn't like the free Vizuri. It was, I believe they have one here, step up summon, one of these ones, and it was all paid. And it's like, well, ultra rare guaranteed each time, but it's like one ultra rare. That's not worth it. And then it goes ultra rare dark unit, like guaranteed. So unfortunately, if you really want Dwayne, you might get a Venera, which I have maxed, or a Zyza, which I have maxed again. So I have a 1 out of 4 chance of getting the character I want, and a 3 out of 4 chance of getting a character I don't want. And I pulled on a banner like that for Warrior of Light. And instead of getting Warrior of Light, I got a Rob Horm. And I was so depressed because I had no plans to build a Rob Horm. And I had previously gotten him. And unfortunately, that happened. So do not spend any of your paid viz on those summons, because they will have better paid Vizuri summons. And you don't want to make that same mistake, because you will regret it, and you will hate it when you spend that much money and don't get anything you want. So for Agrius, I didn't spend anything. I just didn't pull on like 3 banners before she came, and I had like 30,000 viz, and it worked out where I got her on my 3rd pull or something. And I was also going to go for Delita as well, even though I hate the character personally. He's a good unit. I just hate who he was in Final Fantasy Tactics, personally. My friend who plays this game has Delita, and he's a strong unit. But I'm really happy I got my Agrius, and I'm still here playing today because of it. And going forward, I'll be happy because I got Agrius, I got Venera, I got a bunch of units I did want. If I miss out on a couple here and there, that's fine. I'm sure later on I will get other units that I do like. So I can't really think of anything else that is important. Make sure you do your daily logins, you get a bunch for that. And yeah, I've covered most of these. I'm sure I'll remember something later on, but for now, that's everything. So, take care, world. I should probably... Oh, I'd be so embarrassed if this wasn't even recording. Okay, good. It was recording.